24 podcast, where lifelong friends Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber share their love of all things music and movies. Dean has directed short films and is a music trivia buff. And Eric, trained in audio engineering, brings his extensive knowledge of music and film to the conversation as they discuss, debate, and celebrate their favorite albums, films, and much more.
Welcome, friends, to the 3324 Podcast Live. Once again, we were talking about some other stuff.
Other stuff, meaning Star Wars.
And not watching the clock. And not watching the clock, and then I'm like, oh shit, it's 8 o'clock. We have to actually start the show now.
We were commenting on the Obi-Wan trailer that just dropped today. So
if you want to come on the pre-show, we can start at 7:45, and you can just hear what we talk about beforehand, and then at 8 o'clock we'll start it.
Yeah.
But hello, Kelly. Welcome.
Hello.
Look at that nice new display. We keep getting upgrades on our streaming software. They're adding more things and making it more functional, which is a lot of fun. And we can applause and welcome Kelly.
So Dean, two nights in a row. We usually record on Monday nights, but we did it last night. So another great episode on the way.
Yeah, Elizabeth Berg, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome aboard. We got people checking in. Sean, yay, Yeoman.
Yeoman.
Welcome aboard. Wendy, how are you? You made it. I think you set your timer and you made it. So welcome aboard, Wendy. I know she had said she was going to set a reminder. She might forget.
Hi, Wendy.
So welcome aboard. Hey, Zach. How are you?
My son. How are you, my son?
Christy, welcome aboard.
Hi, Christy.
There she is. Hola. I got people coming in. So yeah, we were chit-chatting away about this and that, and then the timer went off, and it's like, oh, it was kind of, you know what it's like? It was like Goodfellas when Henry and Tommy are sitting in front of the lounge and they're talking, and the place is catching on fire.
Right. And you see you and your effing mouth. See what you're doing.
Andy, welcome aboard.
Hey.
That's what it was. We're like talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, the show is supposed to start, and it's like, oh crap, we gotta stop talking. We actually have to do work now.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody to Wednesday night, March 9th, 3324 podcast. Thank you for joining us. Your names are already in the wheel of names, which is the Dwight Burke honorary wheel of names. We've got a story about that happened earlier. We've got we'll wait for Dwight to get here before we tell the story.
Unleash that little tale, but yeah,
about the luck that this guy has.
He's one of the luckiest SOBs that we know.
Hey Ray, good evening. Welcome aboard, Ray. How are you? Good to see you. Tonight, let's do our normal shilling. Eric was saying yes. We recorded an episode last night, and that episode will be out tomorrow. Mm. And we are going not too far back in time. We're going back to 2004, and we're going to be talking about what is on a lot of lists. Hey, Pete, how are you? Pete, welcome aboard.
Pete Wilson.
Well,
hello, sir.
We don't see you, but we do see what you're typing. So welcome aboard. If you haven't joined us before, we're going to be giving away a couple of prizes tonight, and we'll show you what those prizes are. They're pretty fun. Our subject is jumping the shark, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But for tomorrow's episode, on many lists as the one of the best debut albums of all time.
Indeed.
Oddly enough, Eric liked it and loved it, and I liked it and loved it, but we didn't know it wasn't an album that we listened to together.
That's right.
Which is there are a couple of those circumstances that we've had. Yep. It's not always like stuff that we listen to together, but we found separately and happened to. And it's The Killers. It's the debut album by The Killers, Hot Fuss.
Yep.
So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. You can check that out. If you have listened to our quick hit on Monday about the Beatles and their top 5 dominance, thank you for downloading that and checking that out. And if you would share it, would be great with too. Just like the Care Bears always say, sharing is caring. So share those episodes as well with people that you think would enjoy it. So tonight we're talking about jumping the shark, and Let's show the prizes first. I think it's gonna be fun. This is good stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna be giving away two. Hey Annie, how are you? Welcome aboard, Annie. Thanks for dropping in.
Hey Annie.
You are in the Wheel of Names to win a prize.
This is great. We got some newbies tonight. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're gonna give away 2 prizes, and you'll have your choice. If you're here to the end when we do the drawing, you could choose. If you're not here at the end and you win, I'm gonna choose for you.
Well, before we show the prize, let's review. I mean, let's talk about where Jump the Shark came from.
Okay.
Okay. So where did that originate? That actually originated on a little show called Happy Days back in the 70s. Gary Marshall, producer, and it was the moment where Fonzie, with his leather jacket and they're at the beach, and there's supposed to be a little show about hanging out in a malt shop in the 50s and everyday kind of thing, and then this is the moment where it turned into something
different.
Quite different, and we have Fonzie on water skis jumping over a real shark. I guess they're cashing in on the Jaws craze or whatever it was, but that's where the term originated, and it just stuck.
Yeah, and it became known as the point in a TV show, film, or music where it became self-parody. I mean, that's what this in Happy Days. That's what it became. It became a self. Happy Days was already like a parody of like American Graffiti and influenced by that kind of stuff,
right.
And that type of influence. And then the show became a parody of itself at that point.
That's
so
right.
When
it's a moment where a show takes a nosedive and they just go off in a completely different or weird direction. And there's plenty of examples that we're going to be talking about tonight. So let's get out there.
I've got some examples. We're going to be looking for your examples. So I've got some TV shows. I've got some music. And I've got some movies.
Yeah.
So we've got a fair smattering, and we're looking forward to hearing from you as well, and throwing some ideas our way. And we're gonna be giving away 2 prizes. We like to give away prizes at when we do our live shows. It's just fun. So tonight, one of the prizes you'll be able to choose. You can choose a Funko Fonzie Pop.
There it is.
As one of the prizes, because I mean, how can we have a show about jumping the shark without having Fonzie there? Or if you're on the shark side, you can choose the Funkoverse Jaws 2-pack board game where it's the shark versus Quint, and that's a two-player strategy game for to ages 10 and up, but it's a lot of fun. You could be the shark, you could be Quint, and you'll be able to choose between Fonzie Funko Pop or the Funkoverse Jaws board game. So that'll be a lot of fun. I looked at the Jaws board game. I'm like, I want that for myself. I'm like, I just might get one for me.
Put your name on the wheel. There you go. Try to win it.
Well,
just like everybody else.
That wouldn't be. If I won, it would be like, the fix is in. But see, they're very both apropos. We got Fonzie. I had to find a shark related kind of thing too, which I thought would be fun.
I wonder if they actually made a pop though of Fonzie. They did make him.
Oh no, okay.
with him in the shorts and the water skis.
I didn't see one
actually from that episode. I would imagine that they would do something like that.
You would think that would probably be like a limited edition one. I thought you were going to say Jaws because there's a lot of Jaws.
Oh, the Jaws ones are great,
but they're like expensive. I'm sorry, we don't have it in the budget.
I had the chance to get those guys, and they even made the shark too.
Yeah,
a big
They've got the shark with the oxygen tank in his mouth. They've got the shark eating the orca.
Yeah.
There's some bloody ones. So yeah, but they're not in the budget for the 3324 pops.
No, they're a little out there.
We're looking forward to spending more money.
Missed that window of picking them up, but then again, I have too many pops to count anyway, so I don't need any more. So
I got one pop, and he lives in Dobbs Ferry.
If I would have said that about my pop, he'd be like, I'll pop you. That's what I get every time I say pop to him. So
I'll pop you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this. So Jumpin' the Shark, it's that time in a movie or a music group or an album or a TV show where you get taken out of it. Honestly, I think that it's kind of, you become aware that this is kind of not what's enjoyable anymore, or become self-aware that you're watching something. It's like, no, this is just
it's just a complete left turn they just don't expect. And that in itself could be quite subjective. I mean, you may like some of the things that they've done, believe it or not. There are people who are like, oh, I actually like what they did there. But that's we could talk about that too. So I don't know if anybody has any examples of something that they actually liked.
Well, let's start with television.
Yeah.
And I think I've got what might be the first or one of the first jumpings of the shark, one of the first jumps of the shark, and it's well before Happy Days. And it's from Star Trek. And
yes, I know.
Hey, Joe. Welcome aboard, Joe. It's widely known as one of the jumping of the shark moments in at least in Star Trek lore, but also in early television. And the episode is Spock's Brain.
Spock's Brain.
Okay,
yep.
So if you're not a Star Trek fan, okay, we're not going to spend too much time on it. But basically, what happened is Spock's brain got stolen from his head with no scars, no bandages,
right.
no wound, no stitches, and they were. Kirk and McCoy were controlling him, with like a remote control to like direct
they put
him.
This apparatus so that he could still move around, but he's got no brain.
He's got no brain,
but his body functions are still
he's there and
ridiculous.
he's okay. There's nothing wrong with him externally, and then they get his brain back, and McCoy needs to operate, and he doesn't know how to do brain surgery, and then he gets injected with this thing. Where all of a sudden he
has the knowledge, right?
It's like a child could do it, Like all of a sudden he gets injected with this serum that allows him to do the brain surgery on Spock. Again, with no scarring, no healing time, no recovery.
Right, but then he loses that knowledge somehow.
It wears off.
It wears off, and then they hook up Spock's actual brain,
and
Spock is telling him what to do, like telling him how to operate.
On himself.
So, yeah.
How to reattach his own brain. Now,
that's a crazy
you can call that jumping the shark, or you could just call that Star Trek.
Well, that third season had some pretty wild. I mean, we could talk about the space hippie one.
It started getting a little too much. And you know what happens a lot of times jumping the shark is when you run out of ideas.
Or right? Writers, when the
well runs dry, it's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? Or what are we going to do? And you kind of, all right, well, let's do this. And then things become gimmicky. So for me, I'm going to say Spock's Brain was the first one. Does anybody have any TV shows that they feel jumped the shark? While we're doing that, Eric, do you have one? Do you have a television show?
I absolutely do. And it's Miami Vice. In season 4, where this came from, I have no idea what they were thinking with this episode. James Brown was in the episode, and he actually played. It was alluded that he was an alien from outer space. So, like Olivia Brown, who plays one of the the female characters, one of the cops, and she's like taken in by this guy. The episode's called Missing Hours, and she keeps like fading out, like she's like loss of time, like something like right out of the X-Files, and time is like she loses like 15-20 minute increments and it's this whole thing with drugs, but it's all also about like a UFO kind of thing. And it was just one of the biggest what the F moments I've ever experienced.
Sounds like Miami Vice meets the Twilight Zone.
There you go. I mean that it was just bizarre, really bizarre. So that was like, I don't know what you're doing here. That whole 4th season. Yeah. They kind of, and 4th and 5th seasons were not as great as the first 3.
Yeah,
so.
and I think you said it again. Sometimes writers change.
Michael Mann, that he left the show, like he was no longer the showrunner, and that's when they got Dick Wolf actually to come in, and we know him from Law and Order, surprisingly enough, and those were the 2 weakest seasons, and because he was in charge of those two. Yeah, it's just bizarre.
Does anybody remember Heroes? Does anyone remember the show Heroes?
Yeah.
It made a big splash in the first season. Everybody was like, oh my God, this is an amazing show. It was about superheroes, but they were kind of discovering their powers, and they didn't wear costumes. They were just like enhanced human beings. Yeah. It was on NBC. It was a fantastic show. But then the second season just went off the rails. It got too self-aware, and it was trying to pander too much to what they thought the people wanted, when all they enjoyed was just this simple show about these different characters discovering that they have these extraordinary abilities.
Right.
Because I remember that first season was riveting. Second season was like, what? All of a sudden, it's like time traveling and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And
then they even tried to bring it back, which failed miserably too.
Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Andy, I remember being a few seasons into True Blood, and they introduced fairies.
Yeah,
I remember thinking, I know, I can handle vampires and werewolves, that's fine, but unexplained fairies out of nowhere was a little too much.
Yeah, wasn't Sookie? She turned out to be a fairy, right? She was like, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but
I'm okay with it.
But that was the thing. Like, she realized that she was a fairy herself. I think that was the moment where it's like, okay, we're kind of done.
And then Elizabeth Berg, last season of Pretty Little Liars. The show is a lot anyway, but the series finale with the random evil twin popping up out of nowhere is just ridiculous, right? When there's stuff called just like unexplained things that happen where it doesn't correlate to anything.
Yeah.
It just kind of it can throw you off and be like, well, okay, where did this come from? Christy, a big one. This was a big one for me. Is The Walking Dead. Very divisive. I was a big Walking Dead fan, and I gave up on it after there was one scene in particular where they jumped the shark, and I'm like, I literally stopped watching it after that. It was during the Negan and Rick saga, and Negan was pinned down behind a car that was like on its side, and he had no guns, no defense, and Rick had a machine gun. So what does he do while he's walking over to the car? He unloads the machine gun into the car instead of just walking around the car and shooting him. So he unloads the machine gun and there's no bullets left, and then has to walk around and fight. I'm like, this is stupid. I literally, like, it took me out, right? I was invested in however fantastic the show was and just some of the leaps they took. I was okay with it, but at that point, I'm like, I'm done. This is now pushing the boundaries of credibility. I'll go with some stuff that's out there, but you're gonna kill this guy. He's wrecked your family. He's wrecked all your friends, and you're gonna unload the machine gun into the car that he's laying behind, injured, and then have no bullets left. I'm like, God.
I gave up on that show like after the third season, honestly.
Yeah, Walking Dead during Negan times. See?
Yeah, the same thing with Lost, and I know Andy's a big fan of Lost, so you're
Negan
out
has
there.
Plot armor.
And some may argue that the entire show of Lost is that is that kind of thing too. But I mean, Andy might disagree, but there were plenty of moments on that show where it just kind of, things went, whatever. But the thing about that is, like, when you have characters that you're invested in, and then they keep continuing to bring in groups of people that you're supposed to get to know, I get lost, man. I can't keep up with like multiple armies of people that I have to reinvest in. I like characters that are mainstays. That Well,
I was okay with that. I was okay with it. It was more realistic. People get bitten and they die, and they find other people. So I was okay with the kind of changing dynamic, which is probably more realistic. It's unlikely that everybody during a zombie holocaust is going to remain from start to finish. So that was kind of the grim reality of that, is you got to connect with those characters and then they die, and it's like, and then you kind of meet the new one and you get used to them, and then they die.
Right, but that's what the show became. Is like, who dies this week, kind of thing. Like, who's going to get it this week, and
who's going to get it this week. Another famous jumping of the shark was the Brady Bunch in the 5th season, with the arrival of Cousin Oliver.
Oh yeah,
to the cast, where they were kind of, the show was running out of gas at that point. They bring in Robbie Rist, that's the actor's name, as Cousin Oliver to get into a lot of mischief and kind of stir things up. And he was
kind of like the Scrappy Doo of the bunch.
Yeah, he was absolutely the Scrappy Doo. He was not well received, and the Brady Bunch was on
you could argue
anyway.
too, when they became a musical group, that was a thing. As well, I thought that was getting a little out of because we had the Partridge Family for that. So why did the Brady kids? Maybe they were again trying to compete with
Cousin
that.
Oliver. And they even made mention of him in the Brady Bunch movie. Like, they didn't show him, but there was like, Cousin Oliver or something like that.
Yeah,
they kind of gave a little wink and a nod to Cousin Oliver. But Andy's talking about Lost. He said the writers of Lost were hamstrung. They wanted 4 seasons, and the network wouldn't let them end it. So they were floating for 2 full seasons, thinking, what are we going to do? So it sounds like they were at the mercy of the network. We've got something popular, so keep figuring it out.
Well, they had a beginning and an end. They had the whole thing probably thought out, but then no, we need to keep this going. So it's that's unfortunate.
Joey was a jump the shark right out of the gate, which was the sequel to Friends, right? With Matt LeBlanc, right?
Yeah.
He played Joey, where he was kind of on his own, and they started doing spin-offs. You could argue that some spin-offs are
Golden Girls.
Shark
they had the Golden Hotel or whatever. They like B. Arthur left the show, and then they bought a hotel. like Sophia's still there, but but Dorothy's not. So the mother's still there with Rue McClanahan and Betty White, and they buy this whole. I think it lasted a season or whatever, and then it was like Radar. Like I think he was supposed to have his own show after MASH. They right
after MASH was another. This is a famous one, very divisive as well. Game of Thrones, especially at that last season, people were not thrilled with. They had invested their time and fandom into watching this show and taking the trip, and then everybody's kind of like the last season, just like, can we get a redo? Can we get a do-over on this? Because it just wasn't satisfying, right? You're kind of looking for
just really poorly executed. And I actually didn't see it, to be honest. Again, there was another show that I was taking my time with, and and I was really looking forward to, like, because I was collecting them on Blu-ray. Actually, I didn't have HBO at the time, and I just stopped after the third season. But I was still interested, but there were other things that I was into at the time. But then I heard that the last season was so horrible, and it really sucked for me, because I wanted to finish it. I wanted to see the show, and it's like.
Does anybody want to buy 3 seasons of Game of Thrones on Blu-ray?
I already got rid of them. Oh, I already sold or traded them in or whatever. But yeah,
Ray's got a good one. Not sure if this is the reason, but Kirstie Alley coming in when Shelley Long left on Cheers. I think that changed the dynamic of the show. I don't think it was actually kind of a little bit different. It was still popular. I don't know if it was a jump the shark moment. It could be, because. Shelley Long, that dynamic and that kind of smoldering romance between her and Ted Danson was kind of like one of the things that kind of propelled the show forward. And then when she left, that kind of deflated it. Yeah. And then you have Kirstie Alley as like the owner of the bar or whatever. I forget what she was. You kind of got that with Moonlighting, right? There was that flirtatious dynamic between Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd, and then when they finally got together, the fans got what they wanted, and it turns out that's not what they wanted.
No,
because it just wasn't.
Well, that was a horrible. That show was just
the ridiculous. Teasing was better than the payoff. It was like the flirtation and the buildup, just like with.
Well, people saying that about The Office.
Yeah,
when Pam and Jim got married.
Yeah, the flirtation and when
Michael
was
left,
better.
Yeah, when Michael left, the show was not the same at all. I mean, it was just
And then Three's a Crowd, sequel to Three's Company, right? Jack Tripper gets married, and then the great actor Robert Mandan was the father-in-law. Though he's so great, he's like one of those. He's like one of those boil over, the slow burn guys.
Yeah.
So he was great, but it was just like, okay, like this is just a cash in. Wendy agrees about Moonlighting, right? It was that.
Yeah.
The dalliance between the two, the verbal sparring and the flirting. That's what you came for, and it's funny because you think you want these characters to get together, and to some extent they said that about Friends with Ross and Rachel. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like he was always like the puppy dog following her around and in love with her, but then when he finally got it, it was like, oh, okay. Now,
then they broke up, but then there was still that they tried to get that back.
Yeah.
That sparring and it wasn't the same.
Yeah, Annie, see, yes for Moonlighting. See, I pulled an oldie out. The Moonlighting one, that was.
Well, Moonlighting. I mean, how long for every season? How long did it take to write those seasons and to get that show going? Yeah. I remember it was so problematic every time.
Yeah, and they were Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis didn't really.
They didn't really get along.
They kind of clashed as well too. So it's surprising that may have helped with kind of the. The verbal sparring they did in the show, and that kind of clashing but flirting type thing. It was a great one. But do you have another one for TV? I've got one more television one. It's a biggie.
Let's see. Actually, well, I had Game of Thrones on my list. I had the Book of Boba Fett, but you could listen to that.
Book of Boba Fett jumped the Sarlacc. Or it dropped a thermal detonator into the Sarlacc.
Yeah, and I did have Spock's brain on my list, so but that was
I've got one more. I've got one more TV show, and then we'll move on to music, and then we'll go to movies.
Okay.
This was a big one. I dated a Jawa for a while. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh snap!
And he was furry.
This was a big one. Does anybody remember obviously Dallas?
Oh yeah.
And Bobby Ewing got killed.
Oh, yes.
And it was a big thing that he got killed off the show, Patrick Duffy. And And then all of a sudden, I think it's the last season or whatever, and he's like in the shower, and it was all a dream.
Yep.
Like that whole previous thing that happened up to that was a dream. That was the biggest FU to an audience. You don't expect to see something like that in a dramatic TV show where they really just kind of go for the whole dream thing.
And then Newhart would parody that with the Bob Newhart show.
Which was brilliant.
That was great when they, with what's her
Went
name?
back with Suzanne Plachette, and he's
she
back
came
in
back
the
at
bedroom.
the end. Yeah.
and they're in the original Newhart bedroom from the 70s.
That's right, yep.
That was brilliant. That was a brilliant callback and a brilliant roast of that whole thing.
That's right,
like,
yep.
Because he had the Newhart show where he was the innkeeper in like New Hampshire or wherever it was,
right?
And a whole
Which was
other
a lot
thing
in itself, a lot drier than even what the original show was, because he was a psychiatrist, and here was.
I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl, and my other brother Daryl. And then at the end, he wakes up and he's with Suzanne Plachette, like in the old, the old set and everything, with Peter Bonners as the dentist. Right?
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard, Coy and Vance, right? When John Schneider and Tom Wopat left Dukes of Hazzard.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't know if it was contract
going.
negotiations or they thought they got too big for their britches.
But didn't that turn into Enos, though? Like,
They
wasn't that...
bring in the Duke brothers or the Duke cousins, whoever they were. Coy,
yeah, but
Coy
then they
and
made that
Vance.
spin-off with Enos. Like, he had his own show, right?
Yeah.
Or something like they...
Boss
were
Hogg.
those, I don't remember. Were those characters on that show as well? Or no? Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yeah.
As well. And then Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place as well. It sounds like a common theme is that I think these shows just run out of gas. Or, in the case of Dukes of Hazzard, the two main stars left.
Yeah.
So what do you shut it down? No, Dukes of Hazzard was making a ton of money. It was a very popular show. It's, for
But what
its
gets
time.
me is, like, they always, like, one guy was blonde, still
Enos
blonde.
Enos was a spin-off,
Yeah, okay.
which was not great.
Right? I mean, John Schneider and Tom Wopat, one guy had dark hair, the other, it was like a Starsky and Hutch thing. The two cousins just happened to look like them. Like, one guy's blonde,
just younger, better-looking versions.
Right,
or whatever,
exactly.
Right? Christy said Seinfeld did it right. They actually got better with each season, then ended it before it went to SHIT. Although that final episode was...
It was
a head-scratcher. Probably brilliant for Seinfeld and Larry David, but, I don't think the fans were looking for them just to be in jail at the end and kind of...
Well, I mean, everything they got what they deserved, though, because they're such horrible people.
They're just horrible people, right? The Heights. The song was more popular than the show. Was that Jamie? What was his name? Jamie. The lead guy. He had the song. Yeah, his name was, I forget. It was Jamie something. Sean, jump in there. I forget his name. It was Jamie something, but
Heights,
Jamie Walters. Thank you. There it is. Yep, I knew it. There was a song. The show The Heights, and he had this theme song, Jamie Walters. It was a bit popular song, and then the show got canceled like after 9 episodes. And then Andy, like NCIS, has jumped the shark. Is it Andy? Do you think it's what do you think it is? Do you think it's overstaying your welcome?
Absolutely, I think so.
Do you think it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of is it treading water? Is it just that they're going into territory that they don't need to go to? It's kind of when you start to think about it and the different reasons why these. She says that it's just kind of it gets stagnant after a while. I mean, how many dead bodies are you going to research? How many different ways could people get murdered? And then there's NCIS, there's NCIS Miami, NCIS Alaska, NCIS Pluto, and right? I mean, like with the Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago
LA,
Med, Chicago hot dog stand,
Law and
Chicago
Order,
Pizza.
You could say that about Law and Order.
Yeah, Law and
too.
Order kind of started that cottage industry, but they were different kind of fast, and the Chicago ones are the same thing too. It's kind of different facets. Like Chicago Fire was really good. Annie's like, they need to end it.
Well, it's like anything else, though. I mean, there are shows like Bones, right, with the guy from Angel and
David Boreanaz.
David Boreanaz, and that show kind of, okay, it's the same thing every week, and how long can you keep this up? And then they had a relationship on the show.
Yeah, and then it was kind of like, all right.
Then it's like, then
the fire was
changed
gone.
Things. Yeah.
Elizabeth says she agrees about NCIS bringing people back, dredging up the past over and over is getting tiresome. Ray was in here somewhere too. Where was he? Ray had something here. Where did he go? He had a comment. He lost it. He was kind of jumping in at that too. So, all right, let's get into the probably what will be the divisive section is music. Okay,
I didn't have anything from music.
You don't have anything from music?
No,
okay,
I didn't really think about music. I mean, yeah, I could probably come up with something.
I'll throw two. I'll throw two out there. All right, and then we'll probably move on because there's a lot more movie stuff.
Yeah.
The first one. Oh, wait, Andy's coming. Wait, oh, see, Ray did delete it. See, man, don't you, dude, you're trolling me because I know I saw it. And I'm like, what? Where did it go?
There's no deletion here. We say what we mean. We say what we think.
You put that damn comment up and you leave it. You don't delete that comment.
That's right.
Andy, here we go. I was going to mention this too. I have to say this as a Kiss fan, a Uber fan, but it's hard to ignore. I Was Made for Loving You. I was going to get there eventually. As a disco song, along with the whole Dynasty album, very 70s pop disco, right? That was, it's very much with music, it's kind of along those lines. It's like when a band pivots to align themselves with a trend. Hey, Beth, happy birthday. Elizabeth, it's Beth's birthday today. Everybody wish Beth a happy birthday. And you might be asking, why am I streaming on her birthday? Because I'm an idiot. That's why. But yeah, that's the thing is when groups pivot to align themselves with a trend or a musical style, that's usually when things go south, right? And this was one of those where Kiss was always kind of kitschy and they could kind of get away with it, because of the whole makeup and the glam aspects of things. I don't think it was that far of a stretch. But I think you could definitely say that it wasn't their shining moment. Here's Ray's original comment is, I'll recap, NCIS was great in the beginning with Tony and Ziva, but it overstayed its welcome. Again, that's the thing. It's just kind of, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Right? Like Bye. With the shows, it's like you're running out of ideas. It's like, okay, let's kind of cap it off. What I have for music, I have two. The first one we're going to go with is Phil Collins.
Of course. Right?
I mean, not to drag the guy, but there was a point where the first rule about live shows, don't delete your comments on live shows.
Sorry, Ray. You're getting.
I'm streaming on her birthday because she told me to. Okay. So Phil Collins, right? There was a point where everybody was on board with Phil Collins, right? I mean, he was like, everybody was rooting for him. Everybody was cheering for him. Everyone was like, oh, we can't get enough of Phil Collins. Then there was a point where we've had too much of Phil Collins, right? Yeah. And it's a very fine line. And if you don't know where to pull that back or how to manage that, you can't fault the guy for it, though. He said it. I mean, everybody's asking me to do this and do this and do it. Well, he had a lot
of opportunities.
Yeah. So do you take those opportunities and risk overexposure, or do you say, oh no, I don't want
People are asking him to produce for them. People are asking him to play drums. Robert, how could you say no to Robert Plant? Yeah. How could you say no to Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind and Fire? And because he wants you to produce his album, Frida from ABBA.
Yeah.
And, at this point, Phil was not a producer. He was like, why do you want me? Because of In the Air Tonight, the exposure. So it's his own stuff that got him there. But yeah, I he was all over the place.
But then he does Miami Vice, and he does that movie Buster, and he
becomes an actor, and
he starts doing like corny videos. So it's kind of like, And then he's in Genesis, and he's got a solo career. So he put out a solo album, then a Genesis album, then a solo album, and a Genesis, and then he does a soundtrack, and it was just all Phil Collins all the time. So that became a case of overexposure, and then also jumping the shark, I guess, too, because it just became like, okay, it became almost a parody.
Well, his music, I mean, he was always one for like not being.
John's saying you have to take the opportunity, right? Time is not infinite. Like if you're a musical hero, someone said, hey, I want you to work with me. And people are asking you,
and that's all. But that's the thing. He was always. That's all he wanted to do was just play with these people, and he was in it for the music. He never took himself seriously. So, but the music, his own stuff reflected that. He did become a caricature, in a sense, But I think that's more because of the exposure aspect and really, perhaps it kind of went to his head a little bit, but I don't know. But yeah, it there was a time where it was like, okay,
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, enough. Grateful Dead jumped the shark after Jerry Garcia died. So you think they should have just kind of stopped it there and been like, okay, and not brought on like John Mayer and like they kind of had a rotating kind of cadre of guests or whatever, or was it called Dead and Company is what they're called now, right? So it's kind of like they're certainly not recording. Annie's, is that about the Dead? It's like not so much. Good question. And then Andy, there's a fine line between jumping the shark and following the obvious growth. I had Saint Anger. Metallica released Load, and everyone flipped out because they cut their hair. But if you listen to the progression of where they were going, it all made sense for those who were paying attention, but everybody else wasn't having it. So
it's very subjective. It's
maybe to the casual listener or the casual person, they're like, oh, this is what are they doing? This is stupid. Metallica. What look at what's going on. But Andy's saying, well, if you've been there from the beginning, you kind of see, you see the progression, and it makes sense and it fits, and it wasn't a reaction to. They didn't cut their hair because of grunge or because of a reaction to that, and the hair stuff was out. At the time in the 80s, record companies were maximizing an artist's exposure, right? Going back to Phil Collins. It's kind of like, if he's making money for us, let's go do it. Go do it. Yeah. Go do it. Stay out there. There's a debate about when Adam Lambert joined Queen and they made a comeback to a newer generation. I don't think so. As much as I love Freddie Mercury, I think Eric and I were talking about this recently. I'm like, I got no problem with Adam Lambert in Queen because he's kind of carrying on. He's not trying to be Freddie Mercury.
Right.
And he's not pretending to be, and he's not trying to sing like Freddie Mercury. He has the vocal chops to handle the songs.
Yeah.
So they're maybe when Paul Rogers was in, I'd say that might be jumping the shark because he was just like, what is this guy doing here? Like Paul Rogers, why? He's got nothing in common with that.
Right.
That might have been jumping the shark. It's like, okay, that's a little icky, but then they connected with Adam Lambert, who can do justice to the music, right? So
that's a testament to the band. The rest of the band, they made those decisions to bring somebody else, in, and they picked the right person to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a creative choice there being made. So
yeah, I think that's. I'm not sure that's a shark jumping. I think that's kind of like you had said at the end of your comment. Is they made it come back to a newer generation, right? They're exposing people to something that they hear Bohemian Rhapsody, they see the video, and they've got somebody that can perform that. And then Annie talking about the Dead, seeing it several times, is still for her still filling a need for those fans, those Dead fans, those rabid Dead fans that want that experience and want that communal experience together. Dead and Company, they still play like stadiums, right? I mean, they played like Citi Field the last time they were in New York or whatever. So there's a demand for that, right?
The music lives on. It's like the Allman Brothers too. Like they carried on. Like there's like the Allman Betts band now. You got Tedeschi Trucks out there doing their thing, but they have their own original material. But they're carrying on those traditions of the residencies of like the Beacon Theater. They play 6 nights in a row, like the Allmans did, and that kind of thing. So they're carrying on these. It was a time of music that was just and community kind of thing.
And they're not it is kind of a little bit like, it might be like the Queen and Adam Lambert, because Phil Lesh is not with them. He kind of does his own stuff. So it's kind of like Bob Weir and John Mayer are mainly kind of like the leads, and as long as they're not trying to portray it, I guess again, if they're selling out stadiums, so it's good there. John DeGoge, Adam, they're celebrating Queen's legacy by having Adam Lambert out there. They're not trying to portray that, Freddie who, like kind of like what Van Halen did with Sammy Hagar. It's like, oh, David who? It's like, oh, we have Sammy. This is something different. They're getting somebody that can.
They're not trying to right a wrong or something or rewrite replace history. Him or exactly.
Exactly. They're not trying to rewrite history and then raise like the new Tears for Fears album, a little bit of the old stuff in the music, but it sounds like the music of today, right? So they're not trying to cash in and say, oh, we're going to make an album that sounds like, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, or we're not going to make another album that like shout.
It's actually a great listen. If you haven't heard it, it's really good. And they still got it. They
still got it.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us or you haven't seen, we're going to be giving away 2 prizes tonight. If you're here till the end, you can have your choice of a Fonzie Funko Pop, because he's the one that actually did the jumping of the shark, or you can choose the shark, and you can choose the Funko versus Jaws 2-pack board game where it's Jaws versus Quint. So you can have your choice of that. We'll be selecting those later. Also tomorrow, we've got our episode that's out tomorrow, which we're going to be talking about the 2004 release from The Killers, often noted as one of the best debut albums of all time, Hot Fuss, which is a minor masterpiece.
A multi-generational minor masterpiece.
You want to talk about all types of different types of styles. Check out the episode, and I read a list of the different types of styles of music. Eric's hair started to grow back. The list was so long. So, Christy, it's hard to say when they're trying to maintain a legacy or they're trying to remain relevant. There's a fine line. That's a good question, right? What's in the case of Queen, I don't think they're trying to maintain. I don't think they're trying to remain relevant. I think they're trying to maintain a legacy, right? Yeah. In the case of Queen, I think they're trying to honor what Freddie did, and they don't want people to forget it. Mm-hmm. You're going to need a bigger wheel, maybe, unless the shark takes a bite out of it. Otherwise, the wheel will be good. All right, let's move on to movie. Oh no, I have one more jump at the shark. It's a big one.
Music.
It's a big one.
Okay.
One more musical shark jump. I think it was 1983, and the song came out on the radio, and it basically sunk the band. And the band is Styx, and the song is Mr. Roboto, which Kilroy was here was supposed to be. It was a concept album about a futuristic society. Yada yada yada. The song was never meant to be released as a single, Mr. Roboto. It was supposed to be like the beginning part of a concept album where it kind of sets the tone for it.
That's right.
Dennis DeYoung even says this was not a single-worthy song. It wasn't supposed to be that.
It's not a single-worthy album, pretty much. I mean, you got a concept.
They released it.
Right. It's hard to pick and choose what the hit is going to be.
So many people were like, Styx is known for that kind of, Americana heartland rock, Blue Collar Man and Come Sail Away and Lady and Too Much Time on My Hands and Babe and all that great like rock music. And then they come out with Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Now the good thing is the song has aged very well. It's become very beloved now in the Styx canon of songs.
It's at the time you always see it in comedies and
it's a commercial. They use it in commercials.
Oh yeah,
it's everywhere. But at the time, people were like, "This is dumb. This is the stupidest thing ever." Eric and I were big Styx fans. I was on board with it. I'm like, "Yeah,
that's what got us into Styx." It was that record. We saw that tour.
That was the second concert I ever went to.
It was a multimedia thing. It was a whole stage presentation. They had this movie in this 10, 15-minute movie before the show started.
Yep.
And it was brilliant. It was really well done. It was really well put together, and we had a great time with that. That was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so but people ripped the shit out of that song and just the whole concept and the Roboto and Dennis DeYoung holding the mask up in concert and all that images. The good news is I saw Dennis DeYoung last year or the year before. He brought the mask out. He did Mr. Roboto. He did the same, loud and proud. I was loving it.
That was great. That's an FU to
the video was terrible though. There wasn't much there, but again, it was like the single that wasn't supposed to be. It was kind of like the weird thing about it. So okay, we've got a couple of movies. People have already thrown some stuff into movies. Christy said The Godfather jumped the shark.
With Godfather 3?
Just when we thought we were out of talking about movies, they pull me back in.
Are you referring to Godfather 3, Christy?
I'm guessing she's got to be.
Yeah.
She's got another one, Rocky. I don't know. Did Rocky jump the shark? Did Rocky 4 with Paulie's robot?
That might have been the moment, but like I said, it's since then been fixed, and I think it's a much better.
It's been excised, but Paulie's robot in Rocky 4, was that the moment? Or was it in Rocky 3 when Rocky became so self-aware of...
Well, that's the thing. It was the 80s, so there was that excess. There was that. I kind of like that. It was showing him that, he became tame and he became famous, and there's some truth to that.
Knock it in tomorrow, Rock.
I bought it. I totally bought it, and it was arguably the most exciting Rocky film to this day. Rocky
and
3,
Rambo.
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 Yeah, I'll agree with Rambo. First Blood I thought was excellent, and then it just kind of got a little.
I'm saving
Rambo 3.
Yeah, but here we go. Zach makes a really good point. I think Rocky fixed itself with Rocky Balboa. See, now here's the thing. I most people hated Rocky 5. I enjoyed Rocky 5. I kind of was like, this is an interesting dynamic. He can't box anymore. It goes to the outside. He's trying to train somebody. I mean, I thought Sylvester Stallone really did a good job. Everybody hated Rocky 5.
Well, it was that most obvious arc though, and I think he might have overextended that.
And then Rocky getting smarter.
You know.
And then his eye injury that disappeared, right? In Rocky 2, he had an eye injury. Right. He wasn't going to be able to box and pop your eye out.
Because he became so rich, he probably had plastic surgery. He probably had reconstructive,
Oh, you're going to fix my eye over here, doctor? Doctor, you're going to fix my eye? You're going to leave it alone? What are you going to do for me?
That's pretty good. Actually, it's one of the best ones yet. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm saving, Andy, I have your comment in the queue, and I'm saving it. So
you don't like my place? You don't like my place? It stinks. It stinks. That's right. It stinks.
Rocky 4, right? Although I did love it. It did jump the shark, right?
Again, though, 80s, very 80s, very. Yeah. Still, the Cold War. Still, that was the height of the.
Yes, he raised saying number 5, right? I think it was great. Not a lot of people liked it, but going back to the neighborhood, Tommy Gunn, you knocked him down. Why don't you try knocking me down? I love that part of the movie. It was like so exciting.
At the time, I thought it was great, but I think Rocky Balboa is the better film. Since then, he improved on that last entry.
Yes,
with Rocky Balboa,
and he got a chance to. And then Creed was a great
Creed was excellent.
Set of movies as well in that universe. And then Joe is saying, "Look who's talking now, not look who's talking, and not look who's talking to, but look who's talking now," which was with John Travolta. And Bruce Willis as the baby voice, and they would team up in Pulp Fiction just a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you looking at, Punchy?
That's it.
Friday the 13th, of course. What is it?
Jason X.
Jason, was that the one in space?
In space. Jason in space. Yeah, there you go. That was on my list. So that's one.
Jason X. Star Wars is on my list. Most notably, we're not going to stay on Star Wars, but just Rise of Skywalker with the Return of the Emperor jumped the shark. It changed the whole arc of the whole series, and his death was basically undone in Return of the Jedi, and that was the whole point, was Vader killing him and freeing himself of that. Just to have this guy come back as a spidery kind of dude. Zach says the new Halloween films are jumping the shark as well. Those are the Rob Zombie ones. That could be it. When it becomes too self-aware, I think that's the thing. The third Friday the 13th.
I think it's the Jordan Peele Halloween he's referring to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one that's on Peacock right now was. I think it's part of a trilogy or a 2-part, whatever. They're making the final one this year. So like
ridiculous. Halloween Lives and
he
Halloween
pretty much takes
dies.
out an entire town.
Yeah.
In this movie, I totally agree. It's the most ridiculous thing. Okay, Highlander 2. The whole effing movie.
The whole movie. Shelve it.
Awful.
Sean Grady applauded in Rocky Balboa during the fight. Totally agree, right? That was in Rocky Balboa. I think wasn't it like he was simulated in a video game against like the new champion. Yeah, and he beat him in a video game simulation. Like, oh, this guy would beat Rocky, right? And then the guy wants to fight. And like Rocky's going to fight him. It was a little preposterous, but they handled it very well. Yeah. And with Milo Ventimiglia as his son, there's that speech that's always on YouTube about.
Oh my God!
It's not how many times you get knocked down; it's how many times you get up.
We took that. I took Zach to see that, and we
Silver
were both crying watching that scene. It was such a great moment.
Maybe I'll do some voiceovers as Rocky. I'll do
Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus Superman. Okay.
One word.
All right. I'm going to go back to Andy's.
Okay.
Oh, what is it? Martha.
Martha. There it is.
Why did you say that? Both of our mothers are named Martha for some reason. Okay. That's a coincidence, Superman. Yes, it is, Batman. Here comes Andy's. This is the big one. And you talk about the term "jump the shark." A new term was coined as a result of this film, where it replaced Jump the Shark, and it was called Nuke the Fridge.
Nuke the Fridge.
I don't think anybody on the planet sat in the theater and watched Indiana Jones 4, watch him avoid a nuclear bomb in a refrigerator and didn't think, all right, I give up. I was absolutely in that theater. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. As a big Indiana Jones fan, everybody was looking forward to the revisiting Indiana Jones so many years, 20, almost 30, 25 years later, whatever it was.
Yep.
In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and 5 minutes in, he's in a nuclear test facility like the fake town, and the bomb goes off, and he jumps into a refrigerator, and that refrigerator gets launched miles. Not feet, not yards, miles, as a result of the blast. And the refrigerator lands, and it rolls, and the door opens, and he rolls out.
Yep.
At that point, I said, to quote a Robert Redford film, all is lost.
And Spielberg, you know what?
And then they had
laughing the whole time. He knew what he was doing.
Swinging with the monkeys. Mutt also in that film.
Spielberg he did it on purpose.
You think so?
He absolutely. He knew the movie was shit.
Indiana Jones forgettable.
The premise he always thought was shit, and I think he just wanted to be kind to Lucas and do it as a favor to him. But he did this on purpose. He really took it to that level of a Looney Tunes cartoon. I mean, it was absolutely.
Too much.
If you're going to blame anybody for
Spielberg?
that movie, it's going to be Spielberg.
Yeah.
But he did it on purpose. It's a bad movie on purpose. There's no doubt about it.
Christy wants to know if you would have cried more if I was doing my Rocky impression than you did in Rocky Balboa during that scene. Welcome, Dwight's here, so we can finally tell the story. Welcome aboard, Dwight. Nick, welcome aboard as well. A belated hello. We just talked about Nuke the Fridge, and the most recent version of Jumping the Shark is the new term is nuking the fridge, and that is courtesy. Who would have ever thought that an Indiana Jones film would be the reason why people would refer to something like that?
Yeah.
And then
again, aliens. The whole premise. I mean, it's just there's that alien thing,
and
that
then
just
double triple agent.
Yeah.
Ray Winston was like a double agent, then he's a triple agent, then he's like back and forth. It's like Elizabeth, the Scooby Doo movie, live action, which I enjoyed actually, where Scrappy was the villain. Definitely didn't give joy, right? It was Rowan Atkinson, and then Scrappy Doo was inside of him, like controlling him like a robot, I think. Right? And then he became like, oh, you never saw it? Then he became like super Scrappy Doo. He became like a big, like monster Scrappy Doo, and he's like a,
I didn't get it. I didn't
was
like
entertaining.
I didn't like the first one, so I'm just like, okay.
Well, that was the first one with Scrappy.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
and then the second one was Monsters Unleashed.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is live action.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable romp. I think James Gunn wrote it, which
he had something to do with it.
Now it's kind of like looking a little better in hindsight. It's like, oh, James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy wrote it. It's got to be good. So yeah, it was completely out of nowhere. Okay, so we've got a little story about Dwight that happened earlier today. And this guy's got the luck of the Irish, or whatever luck it is. He's got to go play lotto because Mike Legiro, no relation to me, decided to do a giveaway
for a second. But,
he decided to do a giveaway on our Facebook group page. So, and he gave away an Amazon Fire Stick, and anybody that liked the post was entered to win the Amazon Fire Stick. So Mike did the giveaway live. He used the wheel of names. He put everybody's name in it. And who won? But the namesake of the Dwight wheel that we have here. Dwight wins the Amazon Fire Stick. So congratulations to Dwight. He's on a hot streak. He has won many prizes from us as well. Absolutely unbelievable, but delightful that that a prize was given out from our group and that someone has done that. And then also that Dwight won. So congratulations to Dwight.
Lucky.
Die Hard series as well.
Oh yes,
right when the cop car takes out the helicopter
after the third one, the fourth and fifth. How many are there? There's like six. Is there 6, 4, 5, 6? I don't know.
Die Hard Until You're Dead.
I think I saw the fourth one in the theater. I think I saw it with Andy actually.
Oh really?
And went to see that one and that. Yeah.
Another Jump the Shark, Batman and Robin, with George Clooney.
The entire movie.
The entire movie, right?
Yeah.
Like with when Joel Schumacher took over with Val Kilmer, it kind of had a certain aesthetic to it, which was okay. It's like, all right, we can kind of go with this.
Yeah. Well.
But then when you got to Batman and Robin, and they're using like the bowling pins sound effect for people getting knocked over.
My favorite was the credit card with the belt, like
Batman
and pulls out the.
and the expiration date is forever. It's like Batman Forever. They're like bidding on
Schwarzenegger.
On
oh my God!
They're bidding on Poison Ivy. Everything freezes. Yep, the back credit card, right? Expiration. It was like Batman expiration forever. Like, okay, we got it. And yeah, it was.
Oh my goodness!
And believe it or not, I went to go see it twice. I don't think I could believe how bad it was that I need to see it again. And George Clooney acknowledges that he was the reason that the franchise. He accepts responsibility. A lot of time actors.
Oh yeah,
not my fault.
He wants nothing to do with that movie. Nothing to do with it.
He accepts responsibility that he killed the franchise. He's like, I did it. He goes, I understand it. I did it. I'm the one. It's me. He doesn't blame it on the studio. And, rubber lips are immune to your charms, right? And he peels off the lip. He peels off the fake lip.
Good Lord. Yeah.
It was like the Adam West Batman feature film with a budget and a script version.
It was like they were trying to go for that, but
Batman Forever was no gem, but at least it was kind of. It had some DNA of the Tim Burton films. It had a little bit of DNA left.
Apparently, there is a director's cut of that out there somewhere that they're trying to get out there, but I can't imagine that being any better than what it is. I didn't care for. I thought it was way too flamboyant, way too.
I was in the middle of my Val Kilmer romance era, so it was.
Yeah,
I was okay.
I did not like Tommy Lee Jones in that whatsoever. That is not Two-Face. Him acting like the Joker, that is not Two-Face. It's like with the hair,
it had some RNA, but no DNA.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's say this. Let's say Batman Forever was kind of the ramp, and Batman and Robin was the jump. How about that?
That's a fair assessment.
Okay, we'll go with that because I agree that Batman Forever was on its way to it.
Yeah.
But it kind of the movie ended and they got out of their own way before it could really go too far.
I enjoyed Jim
and then
Carrey.
Batman and Robin was just kind of
I mean, he took it a little over the top too, Jim Carrey. But at least I enjoyed his because that was when he was big and whatever. Yep. But so that's something. But yeah, Tommy Lee Jones. Oh my God.
Too much?
Oh, it's too much.
Well, since we're talking about jumping the shark, no one brought up Jaws: The Revenge, which is the ultimate jumping the shark film because the shark.
You're right.
The shark followed Elaine Brody down to the Bahamas.
Right. The shark had a brain. It was like it's taking revenge. It was
roaring. The shark was roaring.
Yeah, and it kills the younger son, and it just follows it all the way down, and it was oh my God, Mario Van Peebles with the shark comes out of the water, and the ship like it impales it on the.
Yeah, it was
it was horrible.
It was Jaws.
Two different endings. I think he dies in one ending, and then he comes back in the others. Like, what did that make it any better? I don't know.
Not
I remember standing. We came at it. We were in line to see it. I was with our friend John and his sister, and with three of us went to see it.
Ray is being quite bold, saying he actually liked.
We're standing in line, and when the doors opened and the crowd was coming out of the theater, the music was blasting. I hear the and this one guy comes out. He's like, "That was awful." He's just like he was like mad. He was he was ready to tear the place apart.
Starring the Starfight. What the hell was it? It wasn't Lance. His name wasn't Lance Guest, was it? That guy. It was Lance Guest.
Yep, he played Michael. He was the
older
second actor.
Yeah, the older version.
But Dennis Quaid played him in part 3. When they go in Florida with the SeaWorld thing, and that whole that wasn't that great either. Jaws 3D, that wasn't that spectacular either.
Sharks are very smart. Sharknado proved that.
There you go.
That they can go in a twister and shoot down and come down and the shark in Jaws. Apparently the shark in Jaws 4 Googled where Elaine Brody was and went on Google Maps.
That's the thing. You actually see it. You
see
the
Google
shark.
Maps and
you see the shark like making its way with that fake like tail fin, like it was oh my God, it was so bad. Oh,
a zombie shark coming to
Michael
Walking Dead near
Caine.
you.
Michael Caine was in that movie. Okay,
There it is, Ray, and Michael Caine was in it. How can you not like it?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but that
Never.
Yeah. Not his finest moment. I'm sorry to say.
That was, you know what, Ray? This was the era when Michael Caine would do anything. He's not
pretty much
the Michael Caine then.
Yeah, he was in a lot of bad movies. Michael Caine, actually.
That guy would attend the opening of an envelope. Okay, like he would go anywhere. So he's not the same Michael Caine that he is now. Don't spit.
Oh God,
Sean, the kids in Jaws were the kids in the Vacation movies. Always different, right? It's like a different Rusty and a different
right.
One time it's Anthony Michael Hall and it's a different kid. Andy says I remember starts getting shot or something at the end and starts roaring. It was like
Well, that comes from the first film, okay? Like Spielberg used that famous effect from like the Munsters, would spot. The dragon under the stairs. That was like a famous sound effect. He used it in Duel. I mean, with the truck. When the truck was going over the side of the cliff, that sound effect was there. So he emulated that in Jaws, but you could barely it's muffled, and you could But in the last movie,
now it's a full on MGM lion roar.
It comes out of the water, and it's like
They could have him for MGM. They could have him introduce the MGM movies. Batman did work out for Caine, though, right? So Michael Caine survived the jump of the shark, right? And he kind of pulled things back because the dude literally used to be in everything in the 80s. They kind of took a break and started kind of being a little more selective, and then kind of became the Michael Caine that we know and love now. Never.
That's a stroke of genius putting him in those movies. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it gave it that gravitas that it needed. Mm-hmm. And then they tried to do it with Jeremy Irons. Like he was like who can we get to top Michael Caine? It's like let's get Jeremy Irons as Alfred for the Zack Snyder ones.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Batman yet. We're
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. So I'm going Saturday. I got my tickets.
Oh, you got the tickets ready.
Yeah, me and the boys are going.
Nice.
So we'll get to see it.
Hopefully we'll get to see it as well. Congratulations for going to see the Batman. Congratulations for getting the tickets. So we're gonna start wrapping up. Again, thanks everybody for joining us. We've got a new episode coming out tomorrow. Full-length episodes come out on Thursdays. If you didn't know, we do shorter ones on Mondays that come out. Christy says again, like music, there's this need to remain relevant. Or it could be the chase of money as well. Some of these franchises should end when they are at their height, but instead they like to see how much life they could squeeze out of them. So I don't know that it's relevancy as much as it is the dollar signs. Like especially with movies, when it comes to the studio, right? The famous thing is you make it popular, you drive it into the ground, right? You just keep making the same thing over and over. Nick is saying the Batman was great. He saw it yesterday. So
cool.
All right, the reviews are coming in. They're very.
He's just coming on, Nick.
Yeah, he was here a little bit.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't.
More ego than you think. She's saying that it's that quest to not to leave the spotlight with your teeth marks still in it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. There's too many. Everything's a franchise, and there's stuff that are trying to be a franchise that I don't know. There's no reason for it. But.
All right.
Nothing's sacred. There's nothing.
I've got. Well, you know what? I don't know about Stallone. I mean, the guy is still putting out stuff. I mean, he still makes Rambos and Rockies and stuff, but I think he does it out of the love.
Yeah.
Foreigner is the perfect example of staying at the party too long. Dwight, shots fired. Shots fired. Because Lou Gramm is no longer in Foreigner, and they've got like the replacement singer. But John, is that similar to the Queen and Adam Lambert thing of kind of bringing the music to the masses and trying to, from that point of view, or is it, you guys should just hang it up? What do you think? I've got one more movie one, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
I kind of kept it in my pocket. It's another Star Wars one though. Jar Jar Binks. Was he a jump the shark moment for Star Wars? Was that a part of, you know?
Well, he's Lucas's favorite character, so I guess so. I don't know. Apparently,
Kelly Hansen is great. Kelly Hansen.
I have
I
one more movie as well, and most of you will probably disagree.
You got one more? Okay.
I have my little rant about this.
Jar Jar was an effing travesty. Yeah, it took music is Kiss. It's Kiss without the makeup. I thought about that, Nick. Honestly, you know what? When I was thinking about Kiss, because Andy mentioned I was made for loving you in their disco era, and I was kind of like, okay, okay, but does a group that's known for hiding their identity? They were known for no one ever seeing what they looked like back in the day. They were known for only ever being photographed with their makeup on. Are they jumping the shark when they decide to take the makeup off? At that point, had they run out of gas, right? Yeah. And had they said, okay, you know what? The only way we're going to kind of keep this going, we got to take the makeup off, and then people will be excited about Kiss because they're going to see us again. That's a really good question, and I thought about it when I was writing my notes for this. And then bringing the makeup back with new characters, right? When Ace Frehley leaves, they get Vinnie Vincent, and then they get Eric Carr as the cat or the fox. Andy, Star Wars was always geared towards kids. Jar Jar just lowered the age quite a bit and lowered my tolerance for these characters as well. I was, again, like it takes you just out of the movie. It's like, this is just like, what is this doing here?
Slapstick. It's silly. It's very, like I said, very like these. They came from this, growing up as kids. They watched a lot. They watched a lot of Warner Brothers Looney Tunes stuff. I realize this now.
Listen to our Star Wars episode, because we talk about how that is not a film for kids. I make the case that it's not a film for kids.
It's not.
Kids watch it.
It's a very somber movie.
So why do you need to pander towards kids? Why do you need to make a character that is directed towards kids? Why can't you treat the kids with a little more?
Well, see, back in the day, like I always made the point that the movies matured with us, much like the Harry Potter series. Every movie is that much more mature than the last, and it gets progressively darker and more adult. And I really felt like that's where Star Wars was headed.
Yeah.
And then Return of the Jedi comes out. We're 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Jedi comes out, and it's filled with puppets and teddy bears, and it felt like it was made for kids younger.
Yeah.
Like younger than we were when we saw the first film.
Or for merchandising, perhaps.
Right. So, but for if you're 5 years old and you see Return of the Jedi in the theater, that is absolutely awesome. It's brilliant. I wish I were 5 years old when I first saw that film, because I was 16, and I'm like, this doesn't work for me right now because
Wicket.
it's a little too hokey.
Wicket W. Warwick.
But that's my point.
That's your point. And Andy has another final shot about Kiss, which is interesting.
Yeah.
He says it was more jumping the shark by putting the makeup back on. So they took the makeup off for a long time, and then they decided to go back to the makeup again. And he's saying, well, that was kind of more of the gimmick and kind of the last, like that desperation move of, okay, well, let's put the makeup back on so everyone can see Kiss the way they were again, and kind of keep. Or it's brilliant marketing by Gene Simmons. He's the guy, love the guy or hate him. He's a brilliant marketer, and he knows what to do. Nick Leshy, will Jar Jar be in the Obi-Wan limited series? I bet yes, and I bet no.
You never know.
They say Jar Jar will not be in Kenobi. Thank you, Dwight, because God, I can't take it. We
considering that the actor almost committed suicide as a result of the backlash, I doubt he's going to want to come back to the role. At best. So unfortunately, so that's
So the Return of the Jedi when she was 6, so she was right in the wheelhouse for those characters, for the Ewoks running around and swinging throwing rocks.
The 80s was such a brilliant time to be a kid. See, Dean, we didn't have that kind of stuff when we were, in the 70s. There was
I acted like a kid in the 80s, so it was the same difference. The growth was stagnated at that point anyway, so you may as well.
Well, this is true. Nathan's every Friday night, and
Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park, right? That was them kind of going Hollywood and making that TV movie that nobody liked. Loved the Ewoks. Ahmed Best and Jake Lloyd were almost driven to suicide by how toxic Star Wars fans were. So it can get a little dicey. I'm glad that we have the outlet here for us to vent our frustrations about jumping the shark and not going to those actors and bothering them. Nathan's was a big thing.
Yeah.
for a man child like me, Nathan's was the holy grail of fun and fabulous and dumping money into them. They would
our paychecks were well,
Nathan's would have closed. Nathan's would have closed about 10 years earlier than it did if it wasn't for me and all the rolls of quarters that went from the paycheck to Gauntlet and to Galaga and to Street Fighter and all those. So yeah, absolutely. All right, Are we ready to give some stuff away? What do you think?
I think so.
Okay, so let me roll this through one more time. Join us tomorrow for our Killers episode. Hot Fuss, the debut album from them, widely credited as one of the best debut albums of all the time. If you know Mr. Brightside and Somebody Told Me, all the things I've done, a lot of great songs are on there. Check it out. We really kind of talk about it. Yeah, and the White Plains Bowl had their share of machines as well. Dwight can attest to that as well.
Yes, we
can. So join us tomorrow for that. And we've got a big back catalog of stuff too. So if you want to check that out too, and if you've got any suggestions, drop us a line on Facebook and let us know. Or if you think you'd want to join us and talk about an album or movie, we'd love to have a guest on because God knows Eric is tired of me droning on about stuff. So he would like some relief coming his way.
Okay.
I think. Okay, so we're going to spin the wheel twice. We're going to have one winner for each. If you're still here, you're going to get to choose your prize. You've got a choice of the Fonzie Funko Pop, if you'd like that. Or if you want the shark side of things, you can get the Funkoverse Jaws two-pack board game. It's Quint versus the Shark. It's a fun, quick strategy game for 2 players, so you can have fun with that. Bad Words would be fun. The movie? Right? That movie was funny. Okay, so we're going to let me pull up the wheel of names. Let me stop sharing these things so we don't blow out our bandwidth. Here comes the wheel of names. Wait, I got to share it first. Share. Screen. Chrome tab. Wheel of names. Boom. And as always, just to make sure I didn't forget anybody, please take a look and make sure you are represented on the wheel of names. Whoops. Let me get this straightened out a little bit more. There we go. Just take a look. Make sure I didn't forget anybody. Make sure you're represented there. We've got Kelly. We've got Elizabeth B. Oh, we got Beth. I didn't add Beth because she came late as well. She snuck in. We got Pete. So we got Kelly, Elizabeth, Sean, Wendy, Zach, Christy, Andy, Ray, Beth, Pete, Annie, Joe, Nick, and Dwight, and John. Thank you, John. See, that's why we do these quality checks. You can't rely on me to remember this stuff. Anybody else?
Beth.
Who else? Did I get everybody? I think that's everybody. Right? Okay, so let's, we're gonna, I didn't forget her name. I just forgot to put her on the list. That's all. How many times do you want to shuffle?
Let's do 5.
5 shuffles.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be our first winner. So if you are the winner, just put into the chat what your choice is. Do you want the Fonzie Pop or do you want the Jaws game, which uses like little Funko Pops, and you get those in the package as well. So you've got time to think about that while we spin. Here we go. Spin it to win it. Our first winner tonight is Wendy. All right, Wendy, congratulations. Well done, Wendy. We're going to have to remove you from the wheel of names, though, because you've won. So think about which prize you would like, and then put it into the chat if you want the Fonzie or if you want the Jaws game. And then how many shuffles should we do for the next one?
Well, you pick it.
Let's see. Fonzie. There's 6 letters in Fonzie, so we'll go 6. Congrats there. We're going to shuffle 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, you've got the choice tonight. You can let us know which one you would like, and you will be the winner. And Kelly is the winner. So Wendy's going to take the game. So congratulations to Wendy. Congratulations to Kelly as well, who has won. She's going to have her choice of the Funko Pop Fonzie, or she's going to have the choice of the Jaws Funko game. So Wendy is going to take the game. I like that choice, Wendy. The game looks like it's a lot of fun. What you'll need to do is you'll need to message us on Facebook at 3324 Podcast. Get your address to us, and we will get that out to you direct from Amazon. So it's going to come straight to your home, probably within a day or two. Kelly, same thing. We will get. You need your choice. I need your choice too, Kelly, for what you're gonna what you want. Congrats all from Ray. Congrats from Wendy. Congrats from Beth. Congrats from, let's see, everybody. Andy. Hey, almost. It was just a. You know what? You guys got. You know what? I appreciate everybody that's come tonight. We're going to do a third one. Let's do a third one. What do you say, Eric?
Okay.
All right.
Why not?
It's going to come out of your pay, though.
It always
does.
All right? It always does. So.
Well, that's how we can afford to do this stuff. It's coming out of your pay. All right, we're going to do one more. We're going to spin for one more winner, and you're going to get your choice of the Fonzie or the Jaws Funko Shark game. So everybody don't leave yet. We've got one more. Let's do 7 shuffles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Here we go. We're going to do a third winner. This is unprecedented, off-the-cuff prize giving. Here we go. This is for a leather jacket. No, it's for the skis. Nick Leshy, congratulations.
Leshy, yes, congrats.
Congratulations. Kelly, you still need to let me know what you would like, if you want the Fonzie Pop or you want the Jaws game. Nick as well, please let us know what you would like, the Fonzie Pop or the Jaws game. Third giveaway is definitely not a jump the shark one. It probably is. I think we jumped the shark by doing a third one. Kelly's going to take the game. John says, yes. Congratulations to all fun podcast again tonight. Thank you. We appreciate. Oh my God, we had a lot of laughs tonight. This was a really fun subject. Yeah. Thank you everybody for your interaction. Nick, let us know what you would like as well. What kind of, if you want the game or you want the Fonzie Pop. It looks like I might get a shark game for myself too. Like I think they're gonna, Amazon's gonna be like, this is moving up. This is moving up in the charts in popularity. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Andy will take the Jar Jar Funko Pop, and well, you're gonna get it autographed by George Lucas.
As if you don't have it already, Andy.
Andy, thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun as well. This was a blast. We had such a great group tonight. Wow. We're going to do it again in another 2 weeks.
Great having you on. Yep.
We're working out we kind of have some kinks with our live meetup, so it doesn't look like it's going to be happening in March. We're looking towards April, but it's still on the cards. We've still got all the great 3324 anniversary swag. Wendy says thanks to John for reminding her to hit the show. I saw that little interaction earlier this evening of, hey, don't forget. And Wendy's like, I got to set my timer. Wendy, it's a good thing you did, because you came out on top tonight. So thank you everybody for joining us again. We're going to shill one more time for our episode tomorrow. The best thing you could do, you want to help us, is share it. If you see that post with it, get that out, because if you like this type of music, I'm sure your friends and acquaintances might like that too. And that will help spread the word and get more people listening to our podcast, which was really
We'd
great.
also like to hear some feedback as well. Some comments, whatever you
suck.
Yeah. So if you like the episode, you don't like it, just let us know. Drop us a line.
If you don't like it, let Eric tag Eric. If you like the episode, tag me.
Thanks. Okay.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair enough.
It's fair. That's fine.
Equitable, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna close it out here. So thanks everybody for joining us. Nick, you got to let me know. Did he disappear? I didn't see what he said he wants. So we'll reach out to Nick. We'll find out. I'm gonna guess it's the game as well. So Eric's gonna finish his bourbon.
It's my dark and stormy, actually.
I'll say, well, even better. Wow,
a little bit of rum.
Fancy. Yeah. He's a fancy man.
Yes.
And that's gonna do it for us. For Eric, this has been Dean. We will catch you on the flip side.
You've been listening to the 3324 podcast with Dean Legiro and Eric Kuber. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider, so please like, subscribe, and rate to become a part of the 3324 family. Your feedback is important, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 3324 Podcast and on Twitter at 3324P to join the conversation.